welcome to another episode of the Middle Child Podcast with your host, Royal Bose. I am so excited to have y'all back again, keeping up with my crazy conversations, crazy lifestyle, and how it feels to be the middle child. But without further ado, as you know, I like to go ahead and introduce my guest because I don't really like the attention all on me all the time. Whatever. But anyway, I want to introduce you to my friend, somebody who got me into the thought process of trying to discover my purpose, although it took me forever to do that. Kind of got me into self-care. Yeah, that's the reason why I take myself out a lot now. And just everything else that comes with that idea of life. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to my friend and the purpose therapist, Shekinah Joy. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm amazing. How has life been for you?
It's been great. I think it's been really good. I've been trying to make room for things, change some things around, or whatever the case. I think it's been great. I think if I had to call anything or call this period of my life something, it would be like the restart. You know, like trying to give myself room to start over and things like that.
Yeah, it's so interesting that you say that because I'm trying to start an annual ladies retreat.
Okay, awesome.
And it's gonna be called Refresh.
It's
called Refresh, and it's just like a weekend where we just go to the cabins and literally do nothing.
I love it.
Like,
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's like do not.
I don't want.
If I wake up and I walk and I see somebody working, I'm closing the laptop. It's just 2 days, guys. Like just 2 days, and then at the end we're gonna have a release ceremony. So we're gonna sit around a fire pit, which is why I want to do it at a cabin.
Yeah,
and you actually write that. I'm giving people all day Saturday to write it down.
Yeah.
Saturday night, we better cry it out, worship it out.
Yeah.
And when you go home Sunday, I don't want to hear anything else. So I like the restart. I feel like that's a good wording for it.
Yeah.
So what kind of got you into the moment of wanting to hit restart?
So I have been in, let's see. I think it started because I kind of like looked up and looked around. I was like, okay, I did all the things that I was saying I wanted to do. And I need so what, not necessarily what else is there, but do I have room for it, you know? And so in that space, I kept getting like little nudges, like do this, do that, do that, or whatever. And I just didn't feel like I had the capacity to do it. So I'm trying to like look at my life, reassess, like try to see what it is that I need to do to kind of hit that, again, that restart button and start. Not necessarily start completely over, but allow myself to make room for whatever my life has to offer next.
Okay. So do you already have a list of things you want to hit restart on and you're dragging your feet to do it? Or are you just ready to hit the button?
Nah, what's really happening right now is that I'm fully aware of what's on that list. I think I'm trying to be strategic about it and kind of like tactical. And I also need to reassess like the intention behind whatever I'm trying to move. Like I think that some of it is, are you trying to move this out of like, it's because it's uncomfortable and you don't want to challenge yourself to be the person to manage this thing? Or do you need to move something because it's actually something that you need to delegate? It's not something that doesn't need to be done, but it could be done by somebody else.
Yeah.
Or is it you really don't have the room to show up in this space the same way you did before, so you need to kind of pivot? Like I don't. It's almost like I'm trying to figure out. I know it's on the list. I just need to figure out what little box is supposed to go in. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I can see that. All right. So with that, of course, comes with walking in purpose. And so you are known as the purpose therapist. I don't care what you say. How did you get into walking in that? First discovering it and then walking in it.
So I think it was a little bit about my like overall journey. So like when I first went to college, blah 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 blah. When I first went to school, I went to school for nursing, and I have to correct this story because when I tell the story, my mom would be like, because you ain't telling it right. Okay. She did encourage me to do nursing, because she was a nurse for 38 years, but she encouraged me to do psychiatric nursing. So her thought was, you go through the nursing program first, and then you specialize in the psychiatric nursing, and then you become like a nurse practitioner and things like our psychiatric nurse practitioner, and go from there. That was her thought in her mind.
Okay.
So the intention was good. The outcome, though, however, wasn't really that great because at the time I was grieving the loss of my father. Didn't realize that's what I was doing. I wasn't really doing well in class. I went to my advisor, all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, trying to just get some answers because that's what you're here for.
Yeah.
And he told me school wasn't for me. I should drop out. And so I kind of believed him. And I remember that day was yesterday. I was crying. I was sitting in that little 2001 Camry, like doing that ugly cry that you see on TV.
Yeah.
But it was because of the fact that like I thought I was doing everything I was supposed to do. Like I went to high school. I was pursuing the degree. I was doing everything right. Like what's happening here? And so in that moment was like a little like drop off, like check out of all the things kind of situation. And after I had been spending some time, really intentional time with myself and with God, because that's one thing that never changed was my relationship with God in that capacity. Thankful that it didn't. But I was doing like journaling, the mindfulness component, before I realized that's what it was. And it kind of like hit me like, okay, there's pain here, but there has to be some type of purpose attached to it. And that consequently, there's some purpose attached to me. So I kind of just kept going from there. And so it was in the doing, like consistently do, like just no matter what it looked like, pushing myself forward. And that's kind of where that journey of purpose came from. And I can say that it's not even like it's a particular destination, because I don't think it is. I think it is, the purpose is the journey, like all the actions, all the steps, all the encounters I've been having along the way that, you know, lead to that place.
Nice. So your mom almost always saw you working in, I guess, like the counseling field.
Oh, yeah. So like actually the bigger part of all of that, the person who introduced me to anything related to mental health was my dad. He before I realized like what actual counseling was, he was a mental health technician. He was over the prison ministry at my church. He was over the senior saints ministry. That's what we call like our elders, the senior saints ministry. Them, and it was lit, like doing outings once a month and things like that. And then he was also over the prison ministry. Well, I think I said that. And he participated in the youth ministry too. Oh, okay. So he had all these different hands. I get it honest, you know. His hands were in all these spaces, but it was always like I was always passionate about how he supported and helped others. And she's always known that about me. He's always known that about me. So it was like me going to school for nursing. I think too, with his death, with him passing, part of that died too. Okay. So it was almost like that the route I knew to take that, because even like I was imagining, especially since he did prison ministry, like a halfway house for teenage boys or something like that, to avoid that high school to prison or that juvenile to prison pipeline, and to try to make sure that providing resources for people who like don't have the mental health support that they need for like all these different things came from that seed was planted by him. And so when he passed away, kind of like, I don't know what you know what I'm saying? I don't know what to do next. And so the next best thing was whatever she suggested, but she knew, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So thank you for that spin on that story. I'm gonna tell you said that, because I don't never tell the story that way. Right. I've never told the story that way, but that's actually like really what happened. Really what happened was she has always seen that. She was just trying to give me advice, best perspective she had, because all she knew was nursing. Yeah. That was the world that she came from. She didn't come from the mental health world. So she was trying to encourage me in that way. I said, you know what? You might have did something. Oh, make sure she watches it so she can see. You see what I'm saying? So she knew. Yeah.
Okay. So with you being in the therapist mental industry, what is your go-to niche?
Well, right now, okay, so I've tried to avoid it at first because grief thing was a little different. Okay, let me go back a little bit. All right. So I think that when you are a person who's dealing with something, especially in the mental health space, it becomes like very easy to get into that world of countertransference. Like you're taking on what you're experiencing or whatever your experience is, you're projecting and vice versa and things like that. And you kind of want to make sure that you have some type of like separation of it. So you're not, because first of all, they're coming to see you to get some help for themselves. You're not supposed to be doing a therapy session with the other person. So I think I was trying to like avoid it because I didn't know how much of that I had healed on my own yet, right? But through my own journey of therapy and everything else, grief has become something that I've realized like I can support people with. I'm ready to support people with and things like that. So I'm certified in that space, certified in grief counseling, and I'm a certified grief support group facilitator. And then ADHD is the other part. There's so many Black women who struggle with symptoms of ADHD, more so because of the fact that they, you know, you're high achieving, you getting the grades, that's all anybody care about. They don't realize that ADHD for women looks very different, like everything from mood swings to that rejection sensitivity to all these other circumstances. And then also, just because you struggle with attention doesn't mean you have ADHD. That's a symptom that's comorbid with anxiety, depression, a bunch of other things. So that part, so the grief, the ADHD, and then the professional development or like the purpose-driven leadership, that kind of thing. I've always been a cheerleader as long as I can remember, and I've been an encourager of other people. So like trying to help people get through those mental blocks that keep them from being able to show up, that's my bag too. Okay, nice. So I've been thinking about, I'm considering doing EMDR, but with us being in Alabama, it's only a handful of people that really specialize in it. One lady that someone gave me, she specializes in grief. I've never experienced grief, and so I guess I'm hesitant because I feel like she's not going to relate. But then God placed it on me, and what he said was, but you're dying to yourself right now. So I guess, how does that relate? Yeah, I got you. Okay, 1,005%. I got it in so many different ways. So that's such a good thing there. And I think it's so powerful you're even talking about that, honestly, because we're in a world that's past the thing of I'm looking for a therapist. Like the idea of like mental health and things like that, everybody, especially in our generation, we know it, we're aware of it. So I'm not just looking for now a therapist. There are plenty, right? I'm looking for mine. I'm looking for the person associated with me. And sometimes it can be a little bit of a deterrent when I see that they specialize in this but not this. Like, can they really handle what I have going on? So I'm going to do this in 2 parts. I'm going to first answer directly your question that you first asked, but then I'm also going to give some like thoughts or tips around like if you are struggling with that, what you can do. So the first thing is how what they're talking about helps, especially the dying to yourself helps, is that oftentimes when we are doing like basic talk therapy, a lot of people can intellectualize their experience, right? And so intellectualizing gives some reason to it, helps you manage it, or helps you like kind of like you can put it can help you to compartmentalize. Like I can put this over here because of the fact that like I know that I'm feeling this way because my parents did this, or this was my experience this time, or I'm really upset about this, and I can give language to it. I can explain it all day. I can write a 12-chapter book on it, right? But I can't feel it, right? And so EMDR, somatic therapy, things like that allow you the opportunity to connect with the emotion to the thing. Sometimes people, they don't really realize that I can explain this thing away all day, but I haven't really felt anything. So because I haven't felt anything, I haven't dealt with it. Like I don't even really know how much it's going to impact me. And so then I get into a situation, something happens, it triggers me, and I'm having all of these physical responses. My stomach is hurting. I'm having this headache. I'm crying and I can't stop, or whatever the case. My body is hot. And it's because your body is trying to respond to the emotions that you would not address. So like that's that part. And when you're thinking about the dying to yourself part, that's immensely powerful, because dying to yourself means that I have to give myself permission to be somebody different, and being somebody different means that I can't just explain away things anymore. I have to actually like give myself permission to feel and like grieve whatever it is. And that's a very powerful place to be in.
It's uncomfortable too.
Immensely uncomfortable. Which brings me to my next point. If you're somebody who is looking for somebody, or you need like that extra support around that, oftentimes that's how powerful consults are. Consults and referrals. So like a consult allows you the opportunity to ask as many questions as you want. Like down to, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. Have you ever dealt with anybody that has had this experience before? Or what might be your treatment plan method? Or what do you think what modalities do you think would be best fitted for me? Or how do you think you might be able to address or start to address this space? Now, oftentimes therapists will go through a diagnostic assessment in your initial session or your intake, and that'll be where we go through everything that is going on, all of the history, and they'll come up with some type of, whether in this session or the next, like some type of initial plan for you. But you don't be afraid about asking questions about like, here's what I'm dealing with. Have you dealt with this before? How can what you do in your work align with what I'm doing? Because just because they specialize in this space doesn't mean they don't have capabilities in other spaces. Like I don't specialize in children, but I see kids all the time. You see what I'm saying? So it's like trying to give yourself permission to explore through asking questions and giving them room enough to answer.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad that, or now I'm starting to see therapists offer the consult. Because I was always discouraged when they were like, you have to date a therapist. Like you're dating for a therapist. I'm just like, oh my goodness. I got to go talk to this person about all my business for an hour and then go talk to somebody else. But I think the consult is, like you said, it helps you get to the point. Like, can you help me or not? What is it going to be? So that's extremely helpful. Guys, go date a therapist. Well, not date a therapist, but go date around till you find that right one. Because I was traumatized because with my first job, I had to have a therapist that had a PhD, and I wanted somebody that looked like me. But then, like, she specialized in something else, but she's like the only person I can go to, and we just like didn't click. Because I'm very silly. Like, my guard is laughing, and she just like never laughed at me. Oh, and I was like,
I'm sorry.
About? But then I kind of just got back on the horse, and I was just like, I had a made up mind. Like, I have to figure out what this is. Like, I have to figure out like where my anger is coming from, where this is coming from. And this is not the person that I wanted to be. And I think that was the push. Like, once you figure out your why, dating to find a therapist is not hard. You have to be intentional and know like what your why is when it comes to it. So yeah, I do want to salute you for being in that industry.
You know, I hold it down as best I can. You know what I mean? In the Lord.
Because I talk to a lot of my friends, and now I'm just more open now. Now it's just like, I don't give me man, woman, black, white, whatever. I just need somebody who can help me with this. But before, it was just hard because we want people that look like us in any industry. And it's sometimes hard to find somebody. So I do appreciate you for taking on that calling.
Yeah.
And just going.
Anytime. But I'm gonna affirm you in saying that, like, not only is it difficult, but like even the transition of being able to have the power, like feeling that you have the autonomy enough to ask for what you need, because that's oftentimes it's already like a push to ask for support related to my mental health, and even more of a push to where I'm meeting this person, I'm telling them like, hey, I actually don't like this, or I do like this, or I actually do, I would appreciate if you do this. Like, the last time we had this conversation, this felt a little bit uncomfortable, but I try to reinforce that even with my clients, that this space only works if it works for you. It's almost no point. I'm not helping you at all if you're not getting the benefit. And so, like, either we can try to, like, see if there's something that we can do to make this work, or it might not be a good fit, and I can make you some referrals or find you somebody else that can support you. But it doesn't work unless it fits. It just doesn't. And I think because the mental health stigma is still, a little bit of it is there. There's this judgment about, okay, so what's wrong with me that this isn't working? There's nothing wrong with you. It just doesn't fit, and we just need to find a good fit.
Nice. Okay. Okay. Y'all heard that. Go find. I'm good on therapy and Bible. Like, that's in the gym. Yeah. And that's my 3.
Yeah.
So that's nice. Okay. So before we get too deep into that, you're known as the purpose therapist. And then you also, I feel like, what I know a lot about you is that self-care thing. How did you, or has self-care always been your thing, or was it?
I'm so excited about telling the story. Okay, shout out to Dr. Jackson when I was at Montevallo. So I'm going to give this very interesting spin on, not interesting spin, I don't get a chance to tell the story often, but anyway, here we go. So basically, when I graduated from Miles, and then I started teaching. And so I was teaching, and I did my master's program at Montevallo. So I was going to work all day.
I was about to say, I remember you having a profession before that, but I just could not remember.
It was teaching. I taught. So I was going to school all day, and I was leaving the schoolhouse, and I was going to Montevallo. So I was taking a little back road through Morgan Road, and I was, so that's what I was doing. And so in that process, fatigue started to happen. I was also in a relationship. It was a long distance relationship, and that was a little tumultuous. Another conversation for another day. Praise God. But basically, I was starting to feel the fatigue of taking care of myself and things like that. But one of the things that had always been like kind of a thing with me was my hair, right? And so the first time we had a conversation about self-care, I was introduced to it by Dr. Jackson at the University of Montevallo. We were taking a class on theories, and we had to read this book called Becoming a Person by Carl Rogers. Montevallo's modalities, or the ones that they taught us the most about, was like person-centered, or at least that's what I would like lean into the most. So person-centered just means that the better I take care of myself, the better the therapeutic experience is for the person. Okay. So as authentic as I can be, it helps the other person in the room with me be more authentic. So one of the things he brought up was self-care. Like, in general, he was like, if you're not taking care of yourself, there's almost no point in trying to show up, because you're doing a disservice to the person you're serving by not taking care of yourself, right? And so that kind of did this aha moment for me, because in our society, or even in the Black community in general, we don't have a conversation often about anxiety, depression, or the stigma around those things. There's still a lot of, it's taboo. If I tell you about therapy, you're going to think, oh, something's wrong with me, blah, blah, blah. Or at least that's what it was at the time. And sometimes it still shows up that way. So at that time when he introduced that concept of self-care, I started doing some more research. I was like, oh my gosh, I could talk to anybody and everybody about self-care, and without them realizing it, I could talk to you about anxiety and use self-care instead. I could talk to you about depression and use self-care instead. So circa 2019, I had a self-care Saturday event. I was in this relationship, and it was Valentine's Day weekend, and I couldn't go to New York because that's where they lived, and they couldn't come here. So instead, I did like a Galentine's type situation, or the self-care Saturday thing. That was the first ever one. I got all my friends together, and we were in the living room. Well, it was really like my cousin, like 2 friends, but the point is, we was in the living room or whatever the case, and I did like worksheets with them. We'd had these self-care assessments that I did, or I had learned how to do, because that's what our program taught us about self-care assessments. And girl, you was around then too. That was like in 2020. Yeah. That was like right after. The first one was 2019, but 2020, because I remember during COVID, we had to, anyway. Yeah. So basically, that was when it started, that whole self-care thing. But again, this lady told me this thing years ago. Her name is Tiana Thompson, but she told me this thing like, you are your first success story. And I was preaching self-care all day, but then it really made me do a hard pivot to myself. So I was talking about like the self-care thing with my hair. That's how it started. It started with me. I'm gonna be really intentional about doing things wearing my natural hair. And I did. I was being really intentional about reigniting that relationship. Then I ended up with a therapist during that time. Then I ended up doing some more inner work, and it landed me in the space. I thought I was a problem in so many of my situations, and some of it was me, but others of it, after you start doing that, that's the thing. When you start going to therapy for real and you start doing that internal work, it becomes this like, nah, actually, this part ain't me. That's you. You see what I'm saying? And it kind of like changed the whole trajectory of my life and changed it to where I had a confidence I had never had before because I knew I was doing the work. And it hits different when you know you're doing the work. Like even if you got a math problem or you counting up some change to get to the cash register person, something like that, it hits different when you know that you know that you know that you did what you were supposed to do. I counted these numbers and that you owe me $1. Like I'm sorry, but you do. You see what I'm saying? And so that's what kind of that's really what the format of it is. I know when I'm taking care of myself, it makes me more confident. It makes me feel more secure. It makes me have a better understanding about what my needs are, so I can communicate it to the people I love and care about. Like that's what that is, and that's how that happened. It really shaped so much. I never would have imagined would have led to like a practice and all these other kind of things that it did. But that's what happened. It really, like during that time I needed a pivot, and that was like God positioned me in the space. So boom, boom. My first therapist, her name was Dr. That's terrible. Can't remember her name.
That's terrible.
It's gonna come to me. It's something worked at the end. But anyway, the fact is that Dr. Upchurch was her name. That's her name. Okay. Dr. Upchurch. She was amazing, but she also had a little bit of oil on her too. And stuff like that. And we did this activity called an alabaster box where I just wrote down everything I wanted to let go of and give to God and stuff like that, including my relationship, including whatever. Like I truly surrendered in that space. Girl, I could go on and on and on about that whole experience, but that's where that self-care journey came from.
Nice. All right. So, oh my God, I want to take this conversation in like
60 different ways. Because you had opened up a can of worms and then you sure did.
Okay, Holy Spirit, give it to me because I want to go this way, but I don't have the right question. So we're going to backtrack just a little bit. Do you think that you outgrow your therapist, or do you still go to that therapy?
Absolutely outgrow them. I've had 5 different therapists, I think, in every season of my life. And I think that that's such a powerful question, too, because you just like, okay, let me say this right, Jesus. Okay. Just like you have, you know, your relationships, your friendships, they go in their seasonal and things like that, or they take transitions. It doesn't mean that they go anywhere or anything like that. It just means that in one season they're one way and another season they're another. And it always can come back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But in the same way is your therapeutic experience, because different seasons need different things. Different seasons need different insights. Different seasons need different support, resources, skills, and tools. Yeah. And so when I first went to therapy, it was, oh girl, that was my baby. She moved to Indiana. I was lost in the sauce. Then it was another young lady, and I couldn't really relate to her and things like that, but she was all I had because COVID was going on. There was a lot going on. But then I found this other lady. I was with her for like 3 to 4 years. She was top tier. Like, she was amazing. Amazing. But then even that needed to pivot. And so then I have the young lady I need to see now. She's awesome. But it's almost like I needed different things at different times. And sometimes people don't even give themselves permission to do that. Like, different seasons are different things. Who knows? At any given point, I might go back and find any one of those young ladies to go back and get support from if they still provide those services. But I knew what I needed and things like that. And so that's what I just gave myself permission to move around.
Okay, nice. All right, there go my question. All right, so do you think, and this is going to be, I guess, more of a transparent question. Do you think the reason why you're hitting reset right now...
I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. The reason why you're hitting reset right now is because you're needing to go back and tap into your self-care part?
Okay, fully, to be honest... A part of that list that we were talking about earlier and putting down stuff is because there's something else that God wants from me, and I haven't given him room to do it. Ooh. And I not only have I not given him room to do it, I haven't given myself room to be the person. There's some things I have always, all right, there's 2 different types of busy. There's busy and I'm working towards something and it makes sense, and there's busy hamster wheel busy. Yeah. I went from making sense busy to hamster wheel busy. And some of those hamster wheel busy things were like going back and doing things because I didn't do it right the first time, or not being efficient with my time, or not putting a schedule in place for certain things, or not delegating things that I actually don't have to do. I can get somebody else to do it. Like all of those different things. So there's that world. And then there's like the the blessings of all these different things that have been happening, because God been doing one for the last couple years. You see what I'm saying? But it's like the intentionality around like those things that he's asking me to do. Is he asking me to do all of them right now? And not only is he asking me to do all of them right now, but who do I honestly have to be so that I can do them? And one of them, I'm really transparent. I don't know if you remember this, but years ago I did like this 90-day consistency challenge. I was going to the gym every day and stuff. I don't think I've been back right with the gym since then. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And I know that God is asking me to like be intentional about taking care of my health. And the main reason is because like this week alone, between this, what I did earlier today, the two things I had Tuesday, I got another thing on Sunday, and I had something else I did on this past Sunday. I've done like 7 like events. Yeah. Some of them were me speaking, some of them were me dancing, some of them were me doing whatever. And if I'm not taking care of my physical body, it almost does not matter. Yeah. Like there is no that without my physical body. And so it's like the kind of like the get me together, if you will, about making sure I take care of myself so that I'm not putting myself in a position to like burn myself out. But that is what's happening. The restart now is that there's more that I'm requiring of you, and it's not necessarily doing more as much as it is making room for more. And that's like that's where I'm at right now.
That is so Pastor Michael Todd, the reason he says that he started working out and stuff is because God said, I can only take your ministry to where your body can go. And I'm just like,
girl, you know who else? Let me tell you. But Pastor Matthew down yonder, let me tell you what he said. We was on a marriage meeting. This man said his daddy said this, and I was like, oh Lord, your daddy said this got double oil on it. Then praise God. But he was saying that he said that I know something that's even more powerful or more important than having the anointing. And he was like, okay, what's that? What you talking about? Yeah. It's like availability. Your body has to be available. Like if my physical body is not available to do these things, then what are we doing? And once I tell you snatch my edges off, like everything else, I'm sitting in my little office, it's 7 p.m. I'm on this virtual call or whatever case for this marriage being, but it's really that. Like it's really the idea of like, how are you taking care of yourself? And so then even a step further than that, I have beautiful relationships with my friends and my family. I'm in a relationship now that's beautiful too. Yeah. But if I'm not being even intentional about taking care of myself, it's not even about the business. It's about them. It's about what capacity, what daughter do they get? What friend do they get? What girlfriend do they get? What like mentor do they get? Who do they get if I'm not taking care of my, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's the temple.
Child,
what are we doing with the temple? I applaud you because you're hitting reset instead of God forcing you to, instead of him hitting. Because when he hit it, that's a whole different sit down.
Let me be transparent even with that.
Okay.
I have never broken a bone in my body. Or I don't know if it's any wood knock on, but I ain't got. But anyway, I've never broken a bone in my body. I've never had any type of injury or anything like that. For the first time in my entire life, I sprained my ankle in January. And I sprained my ankle. I couldn't dance or anything like that. And you know, that's my bag. Yeah. I couldn't do any of those things. And it was almost like God was trying to tell me, like, if you do not take care of yourself, it's going to break down. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's more so take care of myself as far as like practicing mobility, like trying to make sure my nutrition is where it needs to be so that I'm getting the right to go to my joints. Like something as simple as my ankle. And so I didn't even realize how bad that was until I was trying to walk down some steps and couldn't walk down those steps. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. My little heels and stuff I be trying to walk around and wear. I couldn't even wear my, like, so much of my identity will shift if I do not take care of my body. And that's when it dawned on me, like, girl, it's bigger than you're going to be sitting down for a little bit. It's the fact that your identity will literally shift if you do not do the things you need to take care of yourself.
Oh my God. Child. Now that's strong.
Ate me up.
That is strong.
Ave me up.
Oh, that's so strong. Because I did the 75 hard. And so that's 2 45-minute workouts a day. One has to be outside no matter the climate, a gallon of water, 10 pages of a nonfiction book, progress pictures, and a strict diet, no alcohol. When I was done with that, I was like, we're done. I'll start back working out. Maybe drinking water. But I was just like, we're done. And it's because I had just got to that point to where I was just like,
you burnt yourself out. Yeah.
But my whole point of doing it was because I wanted to discipline myself. Yeah. And I got the discipline out of it, but when the challenge stopped, not necessarily, the discipline is still lingering, but I can see that it's eventually going to stop.
The way I was, you know, Mr. Sperling, he kind of talked, while I was having a conversation with him one day, he did this thing, and it was so powerful. He took a pen and he put it in front of him. He's like, sometimes the thing is like, you go like this and then it goes out of as soon as it comes around, I'm focused, and then it goes this way. I'm focused, and then it goes this way. And it's the difference between us and like there's nothing wrong with these challenges and these focus on this because it is a perfect reset. It's powerful. It like for everything with your body and everything else. But it's like, how do I get it to be where it's a part of like an ingrained part of my identity that no matter what's happening, when I wake up, this is the thing that I'm doing. And I'm literally, I'm saying this out loud, but I'm saying this out loud as a thing that I'm trying to figure out what is that for me? Because my like, especially you can imagine, I'm sure you can identify with this too. As your life changes, I say this all the time, as your life changes, so does your self-care. I also got that from a professor, Dr. Parker. She's the one that said that first. As your life changes, so does your self-care. But like, have I been giving myself permission to make room for that self-care change?
Yeah.
Like, how do I incorporate this discipline I just learned? What does keeping it up look like? Like, I love that we're doing it. I love that I got it done. I love that I accomplished this goal for myself. Now what? And that's like where I'm at. Like, I need, and so much of that has been me being intentional about my relationship with God and making it more authentic to where it's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing today. You're going to have to guide my steps.
Yeah.
Help me understand what I need. And it is little nudges like, okay, you need to go drink some water. You need to go ahead and go for that walk.
Yeah.
Go ahead and go take this dance class. Go ahead and take them steps instead. What you eat for lunch? We're going to eat this instead for lunch. Like little nudges have been showing up, but it's only been because of the fact that I had to like even surrender my thoughts about what my day is supposed to look like. You know what I'm saying? It's not mine. It's his.
Yeah. I think it's structure.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I would have to say for me it's structure because I'm doing the challenge, but there's no structure in it. I know when we were talking, you talking about like how you went to the gym at like 12, maybe at 3. It's like you're trying to find time to do the challenge instead of fitting the challenge inside of like your lifestyle.
Right.
So once I get the structure down, where it's just like, all right, cool, gym every day, 5 o'clock. That's what we're doing. Everything has to work around it until it becomes planned, then that's just gonna be like it. I think that's what would help me when it comes to keeping up the consistent circle instead of going out of the way. So
even the idea of planning everything around it, it's this guy, his name is Ali Abdal. He does this thing called Feel Good Productivity. That's the name of his book. He has a lot of great resources. And one of the things he talked about, which I'm like actively trying to work on being intentional about making one, he talks about making your ideal week in your calendar and then filling everything else in after it, right? And so that's something I'm like testing, retesting, trying to see what works really well. But to your point, it is like the putting these things in and making everything else work around that thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Another confirmation. He's just showing out today.
Right, low-key.
Right, just hitting us left and right.
Please.
Just left and right. All right. So purpose, self-care. Okay, I got a question. We'll go back to purpose. What do you think hinder people from walking in purpose?
It's their mindset. It's their mindset. Whether you realize it or not, I think more times than not, people are walking around with a glass ceiling on top of their head as far as they can go, right? Like you'll say, let's go. You can go and start this business.
Yeah.
Oh, what you mean? I don't know nobody that's starting no business. What are you talking about? And the business license costs too much money. This, do this. And before you know it, this person has completely counted themselves out, and you haven't even started anything yet. And so I think that is the main thing. Like they don't believe that they can in the first place. I don't think they have the capacity in the first place.
What do you think would give them a jump start to actually trying to change?
Being intentional about what they've been saying in the first, or like monitoring what they say in the first place. Like you assess it and then you address it. Like, how am I thinking? Like, is it me? Asking myself that question. You know what I mean? And then being intentional about like whatever process it is of you checking to see what that, even if it's a couple minutes at the end of the day, what was my most pressing thought today? If it was that I'm not good enough, or that I don't have what I need to get to where I want to do, what I want to be, or I'm always doing this or I'm always doing that. There's this thing called cognitive distortions, and oftentimes people are in that space and don't even realize that they are. Like, I should be doing this, or this person thinks that I'm this, or just because it didn't work out this way, it'll never work out for me again. So now you got this radio playing in your head that's not helping you break the glass at all. You see what I'm saying? If anything, it's making it thicker.
Yeah.
And so being intentional about taking time to like review those thoughts, identify those thoughts so that you can start to address them is the first step.
Do you think being intentional with writing it or thinking it, or do you think they will work both ways?
I think whatever it is, I am a advocate for you learn however you need to, and you whatever works. Okay. Honestly. So that what that might look like is you got a person that's a check-in friend, and you're like, hey, this is what I've been thinking today. What you think about this? Or like, I need to know about some different thoughts. Or can you encourage me with some positive thoughts? Right? It might even be you writing them down. It might be you vlogging them or making video notes in your phone. It might be you making audio notes in your phone. It might be you like trying to monitor even just every day, like am I red, yellow, or green, and making a color in your planner to put it over time. However tracking looks for you, it's all about what works for you. Okay. There's so many resources and stuff like that, from apps to stuff that you do in journals, conversations you can have, everything else to get you where you need to be with that.
And again, that's about being intentional, looking for those.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. All right. So if you had to leave the people with anything today, what word of advice, encouragement, whatever would you give them?
I think I would first say that I always tell them that no matter what the circumstances, if you keep going, that's like you can still, whatever you want, you can have. You only fail if you stop. You see what I'm saying? And so be intentional as much as you can be about giving yourself permission to keep going. It's nothing as bad as you think it is, as bad as you think the circumstance is. It's never enough to stop your purpose from being fulfilled. It can keep going if you want it to. You're the one that makes that decision. God already made it for you. You're already good. Yeah. Everything is always working for your good if you agree with that word about what he's saying about you and who he's saying that you can be. You can be whatever you want. So that part. And then also, if you're intentional about cultivating purpose, you'll eventually cultivate joy.
Nice. That's true. That is so true. I've entered another level of joy and peace. Yeah. Simply because I'm walking in my purpose. Because before, I tell people all the time, I felt like the children of Israel just wandering. Like for 10 years, I just felt like about 10 years, I just felt like I was wandering. And it was like, it almost was like that voila moment. But now that I'm walking in purpose, you literally cultivate joy. Yeah. It's a unexplainable, undeniable joy. Yep. Like you just be dancing around the house and your car don't work. Or your bills are due tomorrow. And you just like... Right. That's powerful.
I think people don't realize too is that that is, you reset your nervous system when you do that. Whether you realize it or not, every stress that you're having or whatever, every time you decide to sing instead, every time you clap your hands instead, every time you dance instead, every time you laugh instead, every time you do something that you know is going to bring you joy instead, it's giving your nervous system permission to relax. We're good. It's safe. It's all going to work out. And 9 times out of 10, the part that's crazy as that it does, like whatever the worst possible scenario very rarely happens, right? If you give yourself permission to like release that. So what's the point of worrying? Let it go.
Literally let it go. Just, I don't care. It'll all work out because it will. You become even more worried when you're trying to figure it out and piece it together. Because the funny part about God is we do all this planning and then he comes with something that your mind could not even fathom when it comes to solving it. Right. And I just be like, fine. Just
take it then.
Just literally. Just now I just be like, here.
Just do your thing.
Because I don't care what I do. You're gonna come back with something better. Right. And it's almost like his better is, I don't want to say simple, but then it's almost like he purposely blocks out that solution out of your mind so that he can do it and like magnify.
I think the other side to what you're saying though is like whatever solution we thought, we don't know about all the residual effects of that solution. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And that's why he has to bring in this different one. Like we might think, I'm gonna do this, and this, but we don't know that this solution that you decide is gonna limit you and put you on, derail you all the way over there, or keep you stuck in thinking that this is the only way you can handle this for at least another 5 years. When I have this answer for you, this direction, and this will get you where you need to be. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that is just so... Oh, okay. I'm getting a lot of confirmation here. I was listening to, I don't know who was talking about this sermon, but it was like, sometimes you have people in your life that, quote unquote, like, I think that's why I'm not a big fan on networking. Yeah. I've never been a person that I got to go network. I got to do this. I got to do... Because I understand that, like, your network is determined by your network. Okay, whatever. But I've never been a fan of networking because I place so much value in people. So it's just like, okay, cool. I have this person that can do this for me. And then God brings little old Mr. John from somewhere and he just like
does whatever. And so now I've now been able to connect why I'm not big on networking, because it's like I'm going to do all this energy in networking with people who I think can get me to the next level when God is only going to use Mr. John over here. Not saying Mr. John is not important, but it's somebody totally different that is not even in that genre, in that field, knows what's going on. And so that might be a cop-out answer for me, but I just do not like networking for that reason.
I mean, I think that I think a bigger thing of it is that he knows everyone you need already. You know what I mean? And it's like, if he's telling you, yeah, be in this space, okay, yeah, be in this space. I've had some like transformative encounters with just going somewhere that I was supposed to go and doing what I said I was gonna do, and it changed my life in some capacity. But I've also had some spaces where it's like, no, you probably need to go home and you need to rest. You need to go home, you need to rest. And then evidence shows I got in my car like, nah, yeah, I should have been at the house. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like listening to him in that way. But the bigger thing is, like, again, like we were saying, if it really does all work out, he knows who it is. And because I think sometimes we're in this hustle culture that's saying that there's some person that's gonna open this door for you and change your entire life. Please know the only person that has all the keys is God.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So like, whatever you're talking about you need, or whatever you're talking about you like have to make happen, there's nobody's butt you have to kiss. There's nobody's place or space you have to be in to be able to make it happen. That's not how this works. Literally, whatever he said is yours is already yours. Yeah. And it might not be by way of doctor whatever, or this other situation over here, or that situation over there. It might literally be by this person that you didn't know has been watching you the entire time, and is there to support you this entire time and wants to see you do well. You'd be like ridiculously surprised.
Yes. Yes. All right, God, I hear you. All right, so if the people want to get in contact with you, whether it's follow your journey, just kind of keep up with your life, even book you to be their therapist, how are they able to find you?
Excellent question. So you can go to purposejoy.org.
Okay.
You can also go to my Instagram is at Shekinah Joy Lee.
Okay.
You can go to the other Instagram is our business page at Purpose Joy.
Okay.
You can also visit Shekinah Joy at purposejoy.org. You can send me an email there.
Okay.
And then we have a YouTube channel too. It's Purpose Joy or Shekinah Joy Lee. Both of those.
Okay, nice. All right, guys. Well, you heard it here on the Middle Child Podcast. First, before I talk to y'all, Shekinah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Like, you really kicked off my journey in finding purpose like years ago, even when I was wondering like the children of Israel, and even like self-care. Like, and granted, you've explained self-care on a different level, but my jump start for me was to actually take myself out, because I've always was good for people doing things for me. Yeah. So my jump start was I needed to take myself out. And so I have to honor you in this moment, because you literally jump start self-care and purpose for me. Although, guys, we just figuring out what my purpose is. But whatever. But you planted that seed for it to be watered, get light, and grow. So I do want to thank you for that.
Well, I want to thank you for being super intentional about building this space. I think that oftentimes, as many times, you're like the example of what I was talking about related to as many times as you need to get back to that thing that he said. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think it gives other people permission. Like, when you shine that light, it gives other people permission to shine it themselves. Yeah. So thank you for that. Thank you for providing this space. Thank you for being such an open heart related to like being very authentic about your story and giving people a bird's eye view of what it means to kind of like just keep going no matter what and keep pushing.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, we cannot end the show without me asking, are you the middle child?
Okay, so technically, yes.
Okay.
So, story time with that. My parents, they actually lost their first child, right? And so, because they lost their first child, I was born, and that's like why my name is my name and all the other things, because there was a lot of like positive energy, or a lot of prayer and everything else put into having me and things like that. And then after that is my younger brother, Oko, who I love. He's in Ohio and all the things. Nice. But he was just here this weekend.
Oh, for
Mother's Day. Mm-hmm. Pulled up on my mama and stuff like that. It was very cute.
Surprise?
It was. I have to show you the video. It was so cute. So cute, but yeah.
Did you know, or were you surprised too?
No, we coordinated it. So
okay,
it was like he hit me up last week. Hey, I'm trying to come. I was like, okay, bet, I got you, blah, blah, blah. And so we kind of like worked it out. And she came in the door and she was like, I was like, Mom, I have a surprise for you. She was like, and she looked at her like, what the? It was funny. I'm going to show you the video. Very cute.
That is so beautiful. Yeah. Okay. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, belated Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. We love you guys. We appreciate you. And thank you for watching another episode of the Middle Child Podcast with your host, Royal Bowes, and I will see you next time. You never know what you're going to get, what you're going to hear. So stay tuned for the next episode of the Middle Child Podcast. Love you.